dunya is about deeds and no accounting. And the akhirah, the hereafter, is about accounting, and there is no more deeds for you to do. And Allah has promised in the Darul Akhirah, in the hereafter, two mighty abodes. The abode of Jannah, paradise, and the abode of the Nar, or the abode of the Hellfire. Jannah for the muttaqoon, Jannah or paradise for the righteous and for the pious, for those who feared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Hellfire for the disbelievers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stated in a verse in His book, يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. The statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, O you who believe, save yourselves and your families against a fire whose fuel is men and stones, over which there are appointed angels, stern and severe, who disobey not from executing the commands they receive from Allah. They do that which they have been commanded. So here Shaykh al-Fawzan comments, and Allah calls upon His believing servants to save themselves from the fire, that they take a protection between themselves and the fire of hell, to protect themselves from its heat and from its punishment. And this is done by obedience to Allah and the abandonment of disobedience to Him. And protection from this fire is not by building huge fortresses, ya ikhwan, or by gathering up armies to protect you from His punishment, nor is it by gathering much wealth or by children. Rather, being saved is only by one affair, and that is by righteous deeds that are in obedience to Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and by the abandonment of sins and disobedience to Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And it is not sufficient, my brothers and sisters, that a Muslim merely protects himself alone from the fire. Rather, as Allah has commanded in this verse, that he must protect himself and he must protect his family also. And that is his children and his women folk, his wives, and those whom he is responsible for, that he protects them. So he must command them with the obedience to Allah. He takes on this responsibility. He forbids them from disobedience to Allah, and he keeps his home and his household free from the means and the causes of fitna that have become widespread, especially in our times. And to remove from his home and to remove from his household all means that lead to fitan and evils and trials and tribulations and calamities that have corrupted so many of the people in our times. Illa man rahim Allah, except for those whom Allah has showered His mercy upon. So this is a mas'uliyah, ya ikhwan. This is a responsibility that Allah has placed upon the fathers. Likewise a responsibility upon the mothers. Likewise a responsibility upon those whom Allah has given a responsibility for. That you must protect yourselves, protect your families. You will be asked with regard to your wives and with regard to your children. You will be asked, O women, with regard to the properties that you live in and with regard to the honor of your husbands and with regard to your children. You will be asked, every single one of you. So Allah has commanded you to protect yourselves and to protect your wives and to protect your children and not just focus upon yourselves. And this is a huge responsibility. So this mas'uliyah is a very great, especially in these times. So it becomes obligatory to remove these dangers from our homes. And they become, so that they do not become a pathway to the hellfire. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stated in an ayah, or in the same verse, وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ, that its fuel, the fuel of the hellfire, is mankind and it is stones. It is mankind and it is stones, i.e., that its fuel is the bodies of the disbelievers, the actual bodies of the unbelievers, that they are fuel for the hellfire, as well as the bodies of the usat, or the bodies of the fasiqun, of the wrongdoers, even amongst the Muslims. For they will likewise, the wrongdoers and the transgressors within the fold of Islam, that a group of them will taste the hellfire, and they will be cast into the hellfire, and they will become fuel for the hellfire before they are removed, because the hellfire will become their purification. So the hellfire is fired, and it is fueled, and it is made fierce by the bodies of men and the bodies of women, and by the stones and by the rocks that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cast into it. Alongside that, ya ikhwan, that these individuals who are cast into the hellfire, that Allah will never cause them to die. Just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stated in an ayah, كُلَّمَا نَدِجَتْ جُلُودَهُمْ أو جُلُودُهُمْ بَدَلْنَاهُمْ جَلُودٌ غَيْرَهَا لِيَذُوقُوا الْعَذَابِ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stated, we shall burn, before this Allah stated, mentioning that He will burn them in the fire. And then Allah mentions, as often as their skins are roasted through, burnt through, we shall change their skins for other skins, so that they may taste the adhab, so they may taste the punishment. So there is no ability, ya ikhwan, in the hellfire that your skins will become numb, or your bodies will become numb, and you will no longer feel the pain. That will never occur in the hellfire. When a person is cast into the hellfire, yes, his skin will burn through. Yes, he will face the punishment. Yes, the pain will be severe. But when that skin burns through, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will replace it with another skin, so they may taste the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shaykh al-Fawzani mentions this is a fire that will never come to an end, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned. And its heat will never cool down. Rather, its fierceness will only increase, never ever coming to an end. Nas'alullah al-afiyah. That may Allah give us safety. Allah states that its fuel is likewise al-hijara, that its fuel is likewise stones. So it is not set ablaze by wood, or by gas, or by petrol, or by oil, or the likes as we use in the dunya. Rather, ponder ya ikhwan, a hellfire whose fuel is rocks and stones. Think ya ikhwan, rocks and stones as a fuel for a fire. And that makes it, as Shaykh al-Fawzan mentions, even more fierce in heat. Some of the Ahlul Ilm and some of the scholars have mentioned that these stones that they refer to the asnam, or they refer to the idols that were worshipped in the dunya by the mushrikeen. Just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stated in an ayah, إِنَّكُمْ وَمَا تَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ حَسَبُ جَهَنَّمَ أَنْتُمْ لَهَا وَارِدُونَ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in this ayah. Certainly the dunya, or certainly as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned, that you mushrikun, that which you are worshipping now, besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are but fuel for their fire of hell. Surely you shall enter into it. There's a narration from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu who said that when they are thrown into the fire, the disbelievers, the mushrikun, when they are thrown into the fire, each one of them will be placed in a separate box, a separate tabut, a separate box of the fire. So he will not see anyone punished except for himself. And likewise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in the Quran, وَهُمْ فِيهَا لَا يَسْمَعُونَ, that when they are thrown into the hellfire, that they will not be heard, that they're screaming, and they're sighing, and their suffering will not be heard. And likewise, ya ikhwan, they will not be seen. And then, ya ikhwan, no doubt, as Shaykh al-Fawzan, he mentions, and it is said, that the rocks will be huge, making the fire stronger in its ferocity. And the fire of hell is not like the fire of the earth. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he stated, with regard to this, he said, Inna narakum, هذه جزء من 70 جزءا من نار جهنم. That this fire of yours is only one portion of the 70 portions of the fire of the hellfire, meaning it's in intensity. So ya ikhwan, the fire of hell is 70 times more severe than the fire that we are given in a narration, the fire that has been given to the children of Adam. The fire that we utilize, 1/70th of the fire of Jahannam. So ponder upon that, ya ikhwan. The next time you sin, the next time you transgress, the next time you lie, the next time you deceive, the next time you wrong someone, or the next time you disobey Allah, or the next time you delay the prayer, or the next time you miss the prayer, or the next time you steal, or the next time you violate your contracts, or the next time that you are unjust with regard to your wives and your children. Think about this, ya ikhwan.